Mars in Libra. Mars in Libra people love to be sexy, love to be aesthetic, love to be sexually admired. I don't have Mars in Libra, I can't pull this off. So, they love aesthetics. Libra is the sign of Venus, it loves being pretty. So, people with Mars in Libra, they love sex, being pretty. They don't like it messy, they don't like it dirty, they like it being all clean and nice and aesthetic in a beautiful surrounding, with you being all pretty, with them being all pretty. Not only, okay, but let's start out with something else. So, Mars in Libra. Libra is the opposed sign of Aries. So that makes it difficult for Mars because Mars is at home in Aries, right? Mars doesn't know how to act in Libra because it can't express its natural fire energy. It tends to get stuck. Libra is a sign that is very indecisive, and Mars likes to act, and Libra doesn't let it because it's like, oh, but we didn't consider all pros and cons. We need to wait all of the opportunities and we need more time. And Mars is just like, oh my fucking God, like, what do I do? So there's a lot of frustration building up with this energy. People with a Mars in Libra really need to learn how to just switch out of their estimations and assessments and just do something. Very hard for them, but they need to do it. Otherwise, there's a lot of frustration building up and stagnation. They tend to get stuck. They want to do things, but they can't. So they just feel horrible. And they procrastinate a lot for that very same reason, because they just feel like they always need to get in more info to be able to make a decision. At that moment when they're ready to make a decision just never comes. And I don't mean to shit on you Mars in Libras, you're lovely people, but I observe that my clients with Mars in Libra are the most frustrated ones, especially when it comes, to this Mars aspects in life, where you have to act and you have to do things. So I wanted to get that out straight away. Now, apart from that, they're obviously very charming and very lovely, right? Because that's how Mars in Libra acts. They don't act violently, they don't act selfishly. They will forever and ever consider everybody else's desires before theirs and act accordingly. So they're always going to prioritize other people over their own will, which is another thing that makes them not act, because they feel like they can't act just based on their own will. They need to get in everybody's opinion, everybody's desires, and take that into consideration when they act, because they don't want to do anything that could upset somebody, because they don't like being, not liked by people. Difficult. So a good thing for them is to get things done with others. Sometimes they also have an issue just getting started on their own. They need other people to support them in order to start doing something. Because when they have the willpower and the approval of somebody else, then they feel like they can finally step into action, and they are backed by somebody. At least that somebody that backs them is going to be sure to protect them and like them if anything goes wrong. So being like that, like I already said in the beginning, does create a lot of suppressed anger and frustration, because very often they will avoid conflict. They will not go into confrontation ever. They will always avoid it. But just like every other human, they also want things. They also have a willpower. So since they're not able to overtly go for what they want, they might become a little sneaky and like try to get things, I don't know, a different way, by charming somebody into something that they didn't really sign up for. Or actually in many cases, I just see them completely suppressing whatever they wanted and let everybody else have their way, which then creates internal frustration. They get angry at themselves for basically giving it up to everybody. So that is the biggest issue of Mars in Libra. They're amazing for everybody else, but they're not so amazing for themselves, right? Because they make everybody else happy, and then in the end, they end up being a bit frustrated because they never get their way and they never do what they truly want. Well, when it comes to sexuality, it's the same. They're amazing lovers. They will always think about the other person. They will put they will put their partner's needs in front of theirs sexually. They will have sex when they don't feel like it. They will do things that they probably don't like doing in order to please somebody else. If they are like an awakened, a very mature Mars in Libra, they at very least will communicate or expect that the partner gives back the same effort that they put in. Or what I see most likely is that they won't. They will just keep on giving and giving and giving. And if they don't receive it back, they will just start withdrawing instead of actually saying what they want and need, because it's so difficult for them to ask for what they want and need. So yeah, they have to really take care of, they're easy to take advantage of in bed, because they work on this principle internally, on this principle of fairness. So they feel like, if I'm such a giver and I'm fair and I do everything for somebody else, it's just natural that everybody does that for me too. But people don't, and that makes them really disappointed. And it is disappointing, to be fair. I mean, why is everybody not like them? Everybody should be like them and think about the other person, but they're not, and that's a big point of disappointment for the Mars in Libra. Yeah, so they always look for the other first, no matter if it's like in work situations or in situations of conflict or in situations of sexuality. They always look for the other person first and try to please them before pleasing themselves. In the best possible scenario, they have developed diplomatic strategies of communicating what they want. So they are not stuck in this loop of like satisfying everybody and giving up their own needs, but they have developed diplomatic tools in order to get what they want. But they will always communicate that very, very nicely, or, never say, this is what I want, but they will open up a conversation and be like, hey, so this might be up for discussion. There's different options. So how can we resolve this? Very nice, like very pleasing folks also to be in a fight with, because they will not fight, they just won't. They will be always very understanding of the other side. They always see things from like two different angles, and that makes them just very pleasant to work with and to do anything with. Like if you're like a half-conscious person that is, empathetic and nice and not completely egocentric, you will really enjoy them, because they're nice people and they really care. But yeah, if they encounter somebody who is not so caring and doesn't give them back what they give, they might sometimes also become a little sneaky and talk badly behind their back because they need to vent somewhere. They have this aggression building up and they don't know what to do with it because they don't know how to confront. So they will turn around and go to their best friend and gossip or talk badly about their coworker or their partner. That's how they basically process their frustration, which can lead to bigger, conflicts in the end. If somebody finds out that they've been gossiping behind their back, it can lead to bigger conflicts. But yeah, that's like one way that they handle their frustrations. They tend to become a little two-faced, like go talk badly behind somebody behind their back and then come back and be nice to them to their face. That's a bit of a downside from Mars in Libra. When it comes to sports, sometimes they can be a bit lazy. Like what I see with Mars and Libra on the physical level is a bit of laziness, because they also lack the spark or struggle with that spark to step into action. And that also applies to the physical part of them. So, yeah, they unfortunately, this is one of the kind of unfortunate placements for Mars because it's counter to the natural energy of Mars. But if you have this and if you really struggle with the things that I've described You just need to meet and search for people who have, for example, Mars in Aries, and then observe them very well, and then copy them, be like them. And being like them to you is going to feel like you're being an asshole, but you're not, because you probably never could be an asshole, dear Mars in Libra, because you're so fucking nice, man. So if you even like act in a way that to you feels like being an asshole, you're actually still being nice. So try to emulate the behavior of people who have Aries energy. And that will help you to get out of your frustration and maybe be more active and impulsive. That's as much as I have for Mars in Libra. I hope you don't hate me now. I love Libras. See you next time.